Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? NukemDukem here. So Rainbow Six Siege is doing a three-part series where they talk about the data cleanup ongoing effort to sustain the long-term support of Rainbow Six Siege. And earlier this week they announced they're going to rework the map, rework the lightings, rework how defenders see outside and how that affects the eyes. I didn't cover that yet, but I'll do it at the end of this video since there's a newer one that came out today to talk about operators rework, where they're fixing the way the operators look to clean up the data. So I'm going to read it straight from the blog. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to read it yourself. Pardon me, my English is not the best ESL, but I'll go ahead and try. The look and feel of operator is one of the most important aspects of immersion in Siege. Each one of these details, from Tachanka's iconic helmet to Caveira's face paint, is critical to making the characters feel unique. As part of Operation Health, one thing we have been working is to make these operators more optimized. The impact of this optimization will ultimately mean fewer out-of-memory crashes and slightly increased quality for our operators, and will be coming in Season 3. So it's coming in Season 3, which means it's coming out during the Hong Kong DLC as well as the first Polish operator. So let's talk about the next bullet point, or the main head text. It says operator uniformity. When looking at operator, each texture of its uniform takes up a certain amount of memory. When you take all of these textures, the arms, the legs, the chest, the head, etc., and add them up, you get a total memory budget for an operator. As we are designing operators from the beginning, some of the textures took up larger amount of space, while some had smaller amount. After almost 2 years, it was necessary that we reevaluate all our textures, UV mapping the process applying 2D texture to a 3D object. In Operation Health, we have done a complete pass on all of our operators to make the total sum of the texture meet consistent memory usage. This means that texture that have not adequately optimized are now remapped in UV mapping with greater efficiency, so it takes up less memory without reducing quality. Because we're meeting a consistent memory budget across all operators, it's also meant that we could slightly improve the quality for some operators. Lower budget operators like Sledge will have before slight improvement of quality. So this means they're trying to make all the operators have around the same memory budget, and operators who have more memory budget because of how bigger they are or more textures they have, they're going to try to reduce the memory of it but also increase the quality, which is interesting, and I don't understand how technically that works, but that's what they're aiming for. So let's say the map rework and the operator fix. So if I'm correct, this means it should take up a lot less memory on the graphics card or the PC, which means games should load faster and it's not as straining. So this is what Oliver Cortier, technical director, says. The impact on players will be better experience overall with fewer crashes. At the same time, it allowed us to slightly improve their quality. He explains that if all the operators are close to the same memory budget, it also means that we can better plan for the future of Siege and optimize the player experience better. Moving on towards Elite Uniform. The quality of Elite uniforms are extremely important to us and to you. We took extra care to ensure that textures of these stayed consistent. Though optimizing certain aspects of our game, we're able to further optimize our operator's texture. For example, of this Thermite's logo on his head, we introduced a new way to texture all the protective visors. This allows us to get better usage and high quality out of our UV maps, which is how we texture our headgear, weapon skins, uniforms, and other customization items. Moving on towards our final main point is face rigging. We have strived to bring personality and feeling to each of our operators. When built the faces of our operators on a face rigging system that controls various parts when a reaction hits them. For example, when a shot connects with a body part, there is an appropriate reaction by a face rigging to reflect pain. By doing a pass on the face rigging of the operators, it means that they now have more consistent reaction with the shape of their face. This will result in a more accurate aligned points of movement in the face, and will result in less derpy Valkyrie face. They said Valkyrie face, derpy, okay. Stay tuned for our part 3 of our Clean Data blog series, where we'll be covering on how we're optimizing PC texture quality settings. Additionally, we will be covering the size of the patch on PC, which will be significantly higher than other platforms. More detailed next week. Okay. Looks like they're gonna work on PC texture setting, and the patch size will be a lot bigger on PC. So I guess PC will have better graphics or details? I don't know. Alright, let's move on towards a map rework. Moving on towards the map data cleanup series, I'm going to just paraphrase what they say here to sum it all up for you guys. But they're looking towards to work on the map cafe first, and they're going to do all the maps over a course of a year. The reason they're doing cafe first is because it's the most memory intensive budget on a map. So they're going through it and going to clean up with the texture, the meshes, the smoothing, optimizing, standardizing, and overall reducing the memory footprint. The technical director, Oliver Cortier, puts it this way. Imagine you have a box, and we filled it to capacity. It's difficult to improve the items that you have in the box when there isn't any space. With Operation Health, they are rearranging the contents of the box to give them more room to work. This is the first milestone that will allow us to optimize stability and frame rate, which maintaining visual quality. Once before the changes go live in Year 2, Season 3, you notice a few minor changes in Cafe seen below. We're targeting the texture and mesh cleanup for all maps within the next year. Now let's go towards lighting. Rainbow Six is built around the concept of fully destructible environment. As such, we needed to develop a lighting system that works well in tandem with the changes that comes from having that level of procedural destruction. To deliver this type of system, we used the dynamic lighting and static, indirect lighting. Not only that, but we have multiple post effects which control the brightness and the color of which you see displayed on the screen. All this works together and help to build an atmosphere for you to enjoy the game. All that being said, we have heard your complaints regarding lighting and how it can sometimes negatively impact your experience. We're currently looking at implementing the following changes. Now, the next part is reducing the exposure value on all maps. Initially, we wanted to use a realistic value to have contrast and realistic lighting, which works in the same way as a camera would work in real life. Additionally, the bloom was intended to limit the effectiveness of defenders peeking outside. We are excited to tell you that we are completely reworked how exposure is handled on all maps and reducing the exposure values. Bloom issues are now a thing in the past. Now, I just want to get your opinion on this. Back then, they wanted to make the lighting where it's more realistic, where it works on camera lens. Now they're going to tone it down because it just burnt your eyes. Do you guys want to get rid of that realistic tone so you can actually see better as a spawn peeking defender, or that takes away from your immersion? From what I know, most people I talk to rather have the lighting toned down so they can actually see clear outside, and when they break a door they can actually see better inside because it's dark from their view from the outside. Let me know your comments below on that particular thing. Now, Sky Model Update, all maps. In an effort to deliver a more immersive experience, we use procedurally generated skies tech from Assassin's Creed. This tech is great for providing us with dynamic time of day, but it wasn't perfect fit for our game, as we only have 2 static times of day. We will now be using image-based HDR skies. This allows us to have more artistic control of ambient lighting, but as well increase the overall quality of lighting in general. And their last major point they want to say is BDRF, updates on all map, or BDRF. Updates are being reworked on for our shadow model, also known as bidirectional reflectance distribution function. That's a mouthful, that's why they call it BDRF. It now matches the same model as our external texturing tool, which improved the workflow of our artists. What this means for you is that you will see improvement in reflection quality in some materials, particular in terms of glossiness. We hope that you enjoyed learning a bit about what goes into creation of map, and more specifically the lighting. And then in the next blog they talk about cleanup operators, which I covered in the video earlier to this part. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys notice a major difference? And also, with all these improvements, it should be less memory intensive, so you should technically get less crashes and more better overall load times in all maps for cross consoles and PC. But this is interesting. The patch size on PC is going to be a lot bigger, and they're going to address it next week, so I'm really anticipating about that, because on PC you have 2 options. You can download the game and play the game regularly, and then they have this option where you can take its HD high resolution texture box, which is like another 15 gigabytes on top of the regular game. So if they're going to like combine that, or they're going to make the base game have options to get some part of that HD pack. I'm not sure where they're going with this, but it's really interesting to know. So if you're a PC user, do you have a lot of memory hardware space for this extra bigger patch than console would get? And as console players, do you guys think this will overall make the realistic and the view of the game better for you guys? Let me know in the comments below. Feel free to hit that subscribe, the like, and the bell for all news for Rainbow Six Siege. And don't forget about the 3 $100 giveaways in the description.